Hello, everyone, and welcome to my show, Gaurav Garg, the Knowledge Cast. I am your host and host, CA Gaurav Garg. In this episode, I'm in discussion with CA Ravi Mamodiya. Ravi is a chartered accountant. He qualified in 2011. He's based out of Jaipur. And he has recently authored a book on business succession planning, which is published by Taxmann. So, in this episode, we're going to primarily take his view on business succession planning, various aspects of business succession planning, and let's understand briefly about Ravi. I think he's a partner in AR Mamodiya currently. So Ravi, over to you. You know, if you can briefly talk about your journey from 2011 till 2020.
Yeah. So thank you so much, Gaurav ji, for inviting me on this platform. And Knowledge Podcast is really a very nice platform which you are using up because knowledge dissemination is a very important key for the future, for the now, and for and on and there. And using the podcast mechanism is really a very great way to express it because now the future is this, where the people can do anything and listen and get the knowledge. This is the new future. So thank you so much. I'm really excited to be the part of this journey of yours and excited to talk about my book and to my topic, which you have mentioned upon. So beginning to start with that, I'm a qualified chartered accountant in 2011. And since 2011, I'm into a practice. I have seen the assignment right from the big corporates like Hindustan Zinc, uh, EY, and a big corporates. Along with that, I have also worked with a ground SME people based out of Jaipur, Rajasthan, and nearby my locations. So while working with them, I find that there's a huge gap between these two things, and people are not able to get that potential growth which they might have to. So initial 5 year of my practice went into my setting up my taxation, auditing, and these kind of practice. And post that, last from the 5 years, I'm completely into a focus where I can give a value addition to the industry, to the businessman, to their business houses, and how they can grow up and expand to the next level. So in this 5 year journey, I come across many cases where the businesses has been collapsed just because they are not having a proper business succession plan, or the way they are progressing is very slow down because there is no plan to move ahead. Once I come to know these things, I went to a ground reality that what is the challenge, why these things are not happening. Is it a challenge into our place only, or it is all over the world? So when I analyzed and started reading on this topic, and thanks to COVID for this, because the COVID has given me a good time to read upon all of these things. We are sitting at home and doing the things with our own. So that makes me realize that let's read about it and let's see that how it is going to work out. And unfortunately, I lost my father in 2016, and I saw that setback of my family and saw that how these things has been faced because at least 3 years has been passed after he was no more with us to understand that how to pick up where the estates are, what are the properties situated are, how I can make my family to come again and reestablish the thing because it is an accidental death, the huge setback to a family coming out of that and holding again and moving, and all of these things are already bobbling into my mind. So by COVID, everything went well. I started reading, and I find that in all of the countries, majorly into the developed countries, there's a structured way of doing this. So they have their like a consultant who's consulting them for the business succession. There's a law. Uh, India is a country where there is no inheritance tax. So being there is no inheritance tax, the professionals are not involved in too much into these kind of transactions. So it brings a lot more litigations. So at the one end, we are not having the law in the place or a people who can help us. On the another end, the courts are filled up completely with the litigation of the family issues. And that make me understand that there's a huge gap between the Indian economy and the other economy, which is the developed economy. And to match it up, I think there's a gap. This gap need to be mitigated and bridged by the proper business succession plan.
True, true.
So, yeah.
I fairly agree, Ravi, that there is a wide gap as far as business succession planning is considered. Uh, I was just wondering before we started this session why Ravi choose, to come to an area of business succession planning. And I think by your discussion, I got an answer that there is a wide gap, and where there is a wide gap, there is certainly a big opportunity for consultants.
Right.
Great, great. A warm welcome to my show. And I'm so sorry to know that your father passed away in 2016. I know it's quite tough and you were quite young to take a handover on that matter. So, but I'm sure you must be doing good, and he's blessing you from the heaven. So let's proceed with his blessings. Uh, Ravi, if you can briefly, let us know uh, what exactly is business succession planning and why it is critical.
Hmm. So very nice, very interesting question right from the beginning. It is very important to understand that majorly everywhere we see it. But I started my book by the first chapter where I mentioned it, that everybody wanted to talk about the life and nobody wanted to talk about the death. And death is something which is inevitable, which we cannot avoid. So on the same ground, you cannot avoid the happening of this succession into a place. So, what is succession? Succession is where from the one generation to the next generation, the business transforms or transfers from first generation to second, second to third, and third to fourth. And surprisingly, while working on all these things, I come to know that there are very less percentages where the business has been transferred from the first generation to the third generation. And that creates a gap between the complete society, that creates a gap between the progress of the India, the macro level progress of the India, because the big business houses, for example, we are having so much example of a big business houses, Tata Group, Family Group, Reliance, Bajaj, Sanghvis. There's a lot more examples. I know these are the big fascinating work families, but still everybody is having the same kind of structure, same kind of family, and same kind of family issues. So this is a criticality of this topic, that we think that this has been made for the big business houses. The answer of mine is no. This is meant for everybody. We have to understand that business succession is nothing just is the transfer of business from one generation to another generation, and the proper handover of this makes the business to grow to the another level in a very quick span of time. So there are two kind of succession which we usually talk about. First is a business succession. Second is a succession planning. Business succession where the complete business, family oriented business, where the business transfer from a one family member to another next generational family member. In another category where we call about the business succession, in this we find the successor out of our family. There's nobody from the family who comes into the picture, but out of the family, we try to find somebody and take that person and give that position and place to him so that he can run the show and move ahead with the business. So that is for me, that is two kind of the business succession. First is a family succession, second is a normal business succession, and these are the two ways to chase it up and look forward for that.
Okay. So basically, just to summarize, what we discussed, that why succession planning is important, because death is something which is inevitable and it is for sure will going to come. Everyone who is on earth this has got a limited lifespan.
Right.
Because of this, whatever the time one is investing in building up of the business or empire or industry, I think that needs to be properly transferred to the family member or someone from outside the family member, so that the business which one has created should continue to run even if the one who created is not there.
Right.
So there are broadly, if the family takes over the business, then we can call it as a family succession planning. But wherein the family is not taking over and we are just focused on the continuity of business, then we can call it as a business succession plan.
Right.
So what I understand that now business succession planning includes family succession planning in one way.
Correct.
Because there would be two mode of business succession planning, either through a family succession planning
Or
or
outside.
in general, outside.
Outside person. Right.
Okay, okay. So let me go back to my questions. So if I talk about business, so when one should do it? Should one do it? When the age comes to to when the age comes to, let's say, 50 or 60, or is it appropriate to do, when you have just started your business? What would be the right time? Because all the listeners that who would be listening to this, they might belong to different age category. So what would be the right time to, start business succession planning?
Right. So to address this question, before addressing this, I'll take you to a bit mythological side. Uh, I have lot many times we have heard about the Garud Puran. So Garud Puran is basically when usually we read where the Garud has explained his angles about the life and the way the broader picture looks like. So there are two views which comes into this mythology. One is Sarpa view and second is Garud view. Sarpa view is a basic reptile view, which when we are into this system, we are not we are into the execution rather. I'll say that type of view has been mentioned as like a Sarp view, which is a reptile view which cannot see too much, just the nearby things which is there. And second is Garud view, which is like that viewing the things from the bigger perspective, upper perspective, where you can see the bigger picture coming up into the system. So I think as a business owner, lot many times, even like a professionals or like us, lot many times we are so much involved into our work that we stop doing or watching a thing from a Garud view. We become a reptile, we become a Sarp view, person who is more so involved into the execution of everything and skip that is a one Garud view also, which needs to be taken into the consideration for the bigger and longer picture. So for me, the business succession plan is like taking a Garud view. Every day-to-day activities, but where we are involved into, that's a separate part. But along with that, we have to understand that we must take a Garud view and see the bigger picture that the where business is heading. So, coming to your exact question that you're asking, that what is the right time? So I'll say first at the first end, every listener who is listening us must understand that we have to leave this Sarp view angle and take a Garud view angle. This angle will automatically gives you a prospect that what do you think that will be your retirement age looks like. Say for me it can be 60, for you it can be 65, for somebody it can be 50. So as per the experts who have been working into this industry from the last many years and along to my learning and working onto this area, I feel at least 10 years before you plan your retirement, you must start planning for your business succession. Because that is the exact time which required to take the things into a place into the right way so that you can hand over the things without any crashing, without any mishappening. So at least that much time needs to be given for the business succession so that the rightly it should be placed to the right way. So again, to take you that part, that first it cannot be answered that start at the age of 50, start at the age of 40. That cannot be the answer. The answer is that first start from the Garud view, start analyzing that what you see, how your life looks like, and till what your expectation is, till what age what your expectation is. Once you are able to do that, then start planning that this is a date where I wanted to retire, this is a year where I am to retire, and before that 10 years before, start planning your business succession. That will be the right and best model which can be executed. So being we are a chartered accountant, Gaurav, I just wanted to discuss one more very interesting fact with you, that India is that country where we don't have any retirement plan for at least for the professionals. And when you talk to, we have seen our seniors who have been working day and night and till the age of 70, 75, they are still on the seat, doing their things, going to the departments, seeing the litigations, seeing the heights of the age. That is really nice. But still, I think that there should be one cut-off age where you feel that I wanted to retire. And in the proprietorship, even in the developed countries like America, I have made one research which says that I've read with one research which says that in complete business cycle, there are only 3% proprietary practitioners who have their succession plan. And in India, be it proprietary, be it on another stage, we are not with the very good numbers. I cannot say exact number, but it is not a very good number. It cannot be more than 10%. So my point is first determine that what is the long-term perspective where you wanted to head it. And once you determine that, then start planning for this. So that is the thing which I wanted to say for the exact time when the succession plan comes into the picture.
I think it is. I really liked, that Garuda view versus
Sure.
selling. Uh, so one needs to be basically take a holistic approach. And
Right.
my gut feeling after listening to you is, when we're talking about the business succession planning, I think once we feel that, I have built up the business, I think that could be the appropriate time to start planning about the succession. Because once we are in the stage of building, once we are at the nascent stage of the business, I think at that time you do not need succession. But let's say once you are done with, you can say, okay, now I have got a sizable business, I have got a manufacturing unit, or I have got from a CA perspective, that I have got this much of a client, my practice is stabilized. Now the time has come how to plan the succession.
Right.
Becomes the importance of succession.
So one more point before moving ahead here, Gaurav, right, comes in is I think that like a business, like a life cycle of a human being, is a business life cycle as well. So first is a growth, initial establishment stage, then there's a growth stage, then there's a maturity stage, and then a retirement stage. And we have to understand that this every stage need to call rightly at the right time so that you can have a proper things into a place in the right age. That is also a very important thing. So once you'll have this Garud view, you must also understand the life cycle span and how the life cycle works. So how your business life cycle is working, that is also important. And once you're able to understand, we'll match it out. The exact time location comes in, which you say correctly that at a particular maturity level, once you're at the mature level, you have that understanding that yes, the business is the maturity level. We can started planning for the succession, and that is the right time for it.
Correct. And I think it is very surprising to hear that the research that you made that only 3% professionals in US
Proprietary USs, proprietary companies where they run their show. Yeah, right.
Three out of the total proprietary firms which went for a survey or which went into research, only 3% of them were having a proper succession planning.
Right.
It's very surprising. I think, and in India, if I talk about CA firms or doctors or professionals or small SME owners, which means that probably they may not be having a proper succession plan too.
Right. So that is the biggest challenge because as a professional, we feel that there is no end to life. There is nothing to be stopped somewhere. There is no full stop for anything. We just keep on working a date to a date, another date to another date, assignment to assignment, shifts, and things has happened into that way year by year. And things has changed up just technically, but more so over we are at the same place, in the same way that we are completely again involved into the stuff of these kinds, and we are not taking a long-term view. So I'll give you very nice example. So I've been consulting one more 2-3 CA firms in the Jaipur for their succession planning. So what happened when I started sitting with them? Father is there, son is there. Son has taken up the complete charge and started working. So my age and son is of my age and obviously his father. So when we sit, the father is again not having that confidence to lose out that thing and just don't wanted to leave that place because he has developed that thing and he is having a fear that whether that my son is able to take it up into that way or not. And that has become a very big challenge, even for the family succession. See, if there is somebody who's taking up your practice outside from your family, might there will be a hitch, but your son is taking up, but still you are not having that confidence. And this is on and there. It is at every platform. It is not about the practice. The same thing that you or me and lot of professionals has experienced with our clients also. That the son has come into the picture, wanted to do some technological advancement, but father is not interested. He's saying our USB part chal jayegi and all of that stuff that whatever they can give. And Rajasthan being famous for the Lala companies, so we are having these kind of typical problems. Their son used to come to us and say, please explain my father that this is a need. We cannot run the show on the tally till this. We have grown up to this much. We must shift to the ERP. We must shift to some another SAP or something. But that is a big challenge. So that is one area where a consultant comes into a picture, where you are making a bridge to the father and son. and making them to come at the one place and sit and discuss and plan that how it can be done. So maturity of the father and energy of the son needs to be mixed up. And the same thing required at the practice level also.
Correct. So now let's say, let's discuss more about business succession planning. The discussion is moving into a very right direction. And all the if I talk about business or a practice, we have built up. Uh, I think our emotions are attached,
Like,
and also family. You will find emotions in the family too. So there are two emotions. One, the emotion which went into building up the business, and another side of emotion which went into building up a family. So both needs to come together and form a succession plan. Correct. So let's Ravi, let's understand. If you can highlight what are the key stages in business succession planning. So let's say. Uh, because this session must be, I'm expecting the chartered accountants would be watching this session, or they must be listening to it, or the business entrepreneurs also must be listening to this session. So what would be your suggestion, or what are the key stages in business succession planning, from where it starts, from where and where it ends?
right. So my journey of writing this books makes me understand these stages into a very different way. So first I started understanding that what are the strategies needs to be implemented so that we come to know that what are the approaches and what are the stages we can come up. So after concluding, discussing, reading, and a lot many practical experiences, I come to know that we can divide it into 5 stages, which I have clearly mentioned in the book also. The first stage is a vision stage. I'll take you to in a detail to every stages, but first is your vision, that what your business vision is. Second is your family constitution, how it looks like and what's your objective for that. Third is alignment between these two things, between your business and family. Fourth stage is finding of a successor and grooming him. And last stage is estate planning and handover of the business states. So these are the 5 steps which comes into a picture when we start planning for this. The first stage is vision of the business. So there should be a very clear vision. The owner who have founded it has to document it, that what is my vision of creating this company, this foundation, this business and this practice. And once this has been into a place, when you're clear that why you wanted to do this. So I'll give you an example that there are certain practitioners who are saying that I'm not going to do auditing. We'll just do a consulting, or we'll not do a consulting only. We'll do a litigation cases only. So first we have to make it established that why we have started this business, what is our vision, and we wanted to take forward to it. Second stage where we talk about the business, where the business owner and the practitioner has to think that what is my plan for the business, what is my plan for the family too. So what is family structures look like? Who all are the family members? Who all are the beneficiaries? What are my family values? How I can pitch off my family values into a right way. So, for example, my family values can be helping a local guy. My family values can be ritually, I wanted to donate some money to a particular temple, religion, or my any other chores, or I wanted to invest the amount for the children for their education. These are my family values, which over the period of time my family has evolved. So these need to be documented and understand. Once you have your business into a place, that what is your business vision, what your family values and things are into place, and how your family structures look like. The third stage comes in where you have to make an alignment between these two things. That what is your business vision, what is your family vision, how it looks like, and how it can be aligned so that one bigger picture can come in, that this is what I want. So as in person who wanted a proper successor into, say for example, I want a proper successor into my life. So what is my basic requirement from the successor is maintain my business vision, values, and make my family values to be the part of it so that it will give you a long-term benefit. So for example, if you talk about the Tata Group has always been famous for helping the people and best employer for the employees. So by any way around, right from the J.R. Tata to the Ratan Tataji's journey, this is the basic principle. That principle comes out of the family values. This needs to be aligned with the business. So the way family looks like, the way business should be look like. Then the fourth stage comes into the picture where we talk about finding of a successor, which itself is a detailed task, which I have mentioned a detailed checklist into my book where we can have a proper assessments of the people who are qualified for becoming a successor, and then grooming of those people to the right stage, like training, like giving them some skills, updating, having a psychometric test, and giving them some proper skills so that that can be groomed to that level, and a basic experiential learning while working uh, into a industry or into their own business. And then the last stage comes in where we'll say the estate transfers, where this all transaction has taken place, ownership transfer has taken place. So this is how this need to be structured, and this is how this approach should look like. And following these 5 steps, my understanding and my reading and my practical exposure says this will definitely give you a good result. You will definitely able to find out what we want.
Okay. Thanks, Ravi. My question is on the step one, wherein we are talking about the vision. So, let's say a businessman started a business with some limited vision, or, let's say with some vision, not a vision which assisted him in building a business. Now, do you think when we are talking about the succession planning, that vision needs to be modified or that vision needs to be reviewed?
Right.
Comment upon this.
So 100% right from the beginning, I agree with your point that first stage itself requires a detailed discussion and detailed documentation. The vision needs to be the one kind of vision that we put on the your website and everywhere. Sometime or many a time it is cut copy paste from somewhere, or some of your content writer or website designer has placed that thing into that vision. I'm not talking about that vision. I'm talking about the actual documented vision, which requires a detailed understanding and a brainstorming session with that owner and founder. By doing that, we'll come to know that what exactly we have started, where we have started, and where we are heading. So, for example, at the beginning, when I started my practice, I felt like that I just wanted to become a chartered accountant who is doing auditing and taxation. After 5 years, my complete vision has changed. After that of my father, the complete shift has happened into my life, and everything has been on another side of the road. So I just wanted to say these need to be aligned. This need to be reviewed on the regular basis. And through the stage we are and we wanted to head it now, this need to be aligned. And on the regular basis, this need to be updated and upgraded. And I use the word updated and upgraded so that a right kind of vision can come in, which should be big enough, which should be achievable enough, which should consist of some values and which can give you a energy and fuel within to work up.
Okay. So basically, what I understand after discussing with you, let's say when we start a business, we might be having a particular vision, which might change over a period of time as we get more experience into the business. So when I'm talking about the succession, the vision which I carry today, whether it will going to hold value in next 20 years or not, I think needs to be validated. Now the second step comes the family. So understanding the family values and understanding the people in the family. Because now when we are talking about the family, I think probably we are talking about the family succession planning. Right. Because someone from the family needs to be picked up.
Right.
That's why we are talking about the family values. Otherwise we have simply moved on to the 1, 2, 3, 4th point, which talks about identifying the successor.
Right.
So when we are discussing about the family, when the business needs to be transferred within the family, I feel again after listening to you that one thing is my ethical value or my business values when I'm doing as a business, when I'm working as a businessman, entrepreneur. But when I'm coming to my family, what are my family values? What are my family ethics? And whether there is a match in the business or family or not. So there could be a case that when you are in your business, you are a very harsh person. But when you go back to your family, you are a very soft person. And so there are a lot of soft people in the family. And why we took an example of father and son. Let's say a father feels, yeah, my son is too soft to handle let's say a construction work. Because in construction, you will find generally one needs to be slightly rude, slightly strict. But in family, if a person is, if the family is too soft to a society or to people, then handling a construction work may be a tough task, or a construction business may be a tough task. Okay, so we need a alignment in the business ethics or the business vision vis-a-vis the family ethics or a family values. And then the first stage comes grooming. I think what I liked is that if the succession planning is not only about transferring of business asset, it's more to do with building up the resource.
Right.
Actually, when you are not there, you can actually act as a driver, as a good driver, and drive your business. I think that becomes important.
So for me, it looks like, so for example, you are a king and you have your kingdom. So your kingdom goes up whether you are there or not. So now you have to plan as a king that will be your successor. And once you know that will be your successor, whether any kind of mishappening happens, there will be a successor coming into a picture and taking up the hold and doing the things. So for your construction example, I think that fourth stage gives me that answer, where I am grooming first identification of that right kind of a person. For example, I have a two son or two daughter. Who's the right kind of person? That depends upon the right kind of choice. For example, I have two daughters. One of my daughters says ki I don't want it to be into the practice, or I don't want to do any this kind of job. I just love doing crafting or doing some other kind of stuff, and this doesn't suits me up. I don't want to continue it. My another daughter is there. She's excited about the practice and wanted to choose the commerce and do something. So first choice that I have to see this, that what are the choices available. If even my another daughter who is interested into the CA practice, if she's not competent enough, then it is my job for that, which I am asking for the 10 years to plan it, to groom her up to that level and make her understand that how to take it forward. So that's why I asked you that at least 10 years need to be taken care for grooming that person on a day-to-day activity and then handing over the things to him and then run the show. So I have also noticed, Gaurav, that there's a certain countries, America especially, where the practitioners has to have a compulsory succession document. So, for example, like a partnership deed we are having, we are registered with ICI and all of these stuffs. So there is a one compulsory requirement that there should be after this year, the peer committee will take up the charge where they assist and analyze that whether this practice after this stage is having a succession document or not. And that has been a compulsory requirement. Because what happens, see, anything can happen anywhere. And COVID has given that shock to us. Not many of our professional brothers has passed away suddenly. And the family completely don't know how to take care of these files, what to do with these things, and how to take care. Nearby my location also, there is one case which I have heard, and people and their family member don't know, and even our council members are not knowing that how to give a proper handover to whom, and how we can plan something so that we can give that family a good support, and how it is to be structured. If there is a succession planning into a place, at least there is one document where which can be referred by any person after he or she is no more. So at least the mission which I have planned for the things, the way it should be gone, and that needs to be come into the picture. And in that, along with this, there is one retirement strategy coming into a picture. Retirement strategy means a proper exit plan. It is not about the entry only. Because son is very much aggressive to enter upon. But if father is not having a proper retirement plan, that he don't want to exit upon. So these two things should be a simultaneous jobs. So one entry and one exit. That makes the things happen into a right time. And once I am talking about the retirement strategy, I'm more talking about that. Say after my demise, I just want that my wife should get at least this much of amount every month. So after this, I want that monthly this much of amount needs to be invested or donated to this place. After my demise, so I'll give you a very interesting example. Over this journey after my father, my sister's father-in-law, Dade Sasur, has expired. And on their expiry, when we went there, we have find that the doctor has, before taking up that body, the doctor has come and asked us to call the advocate. We are surprised that might that he has created some will or something. So the advocate has also come and the doctor was there. Then before leaving that body, they asked to the family member, go to that room and there is one briefcase where it has been something, bring that to us and open in front of everybody. Once they have opened it, there is one envelope in which it was mentioned that how my Kriya Sanskar needs to be done. After 3 days, nobody is going to cry. Till 3 days, this much expense needs to be done. This is the amount already into the envelope. Say 1.5 lakh, 2 lakh rupees is mentioned into, and he has put that amount into that envelope. That needs to be expensed out from this, even though the boys and the female, the members of the family are good earning members, but still he made that arrangement and he want that everything needs to be done by his own. And he mentioned that he was, after his retirement, he became a Ayurvedic doctor and assisted many people free of cost and these kind of things. So there is a lot of medicines which are into his store. And he says that how to distribute that medicines, what to do with that. So these kind of things which we can plan at the time where we are into, that is the best way to plan your exit strategy too, and that needs to be taken care.
Yeah, Ravi, but I still feel, this may be the one part of the exit strategy or a handover strategy. Uh, I think if I go back to the fourth stage wherein we were talking about the grooming, so once we are done with the grooming of the probable successor, I think then comes the exit strategy.
Right.
In exit strategy, how I want my asset to be distributed is something I feel is ironical to the succession, because succession would mean handing over an assets or a business to the successor and then moving out. So I might take my share. Okay, now I want to go back to Miami Beach and enjoy somewhere else. Want to enjoy my holidays in Goa. So I need to take my assets, few of my assets, and then keep on investing. But from a business perspective, do you feel once we are done with the grooming, and once the succession has formally taken place, do the guy who passed on to baton to the successor still need to supervise, or still need to
So this has been addressed by us with this third chapter, a third part, which is a alignment part, where we are saying a council creation, a family council creation, which is there always to assist this person who have been given as in successor responsibility, who's always been there taking care at a mature stage, at a family stage, that the things need to be done into the right way. The person who has passed on his assets has become a member of that council and always there to assist him. It is not that like it is has been gone means gone. Cannot happen, because business is something which has a different kind of dynamicity every time. And the right kind of assistance with the person who have been doing this business from the last 50 years has always been a good point, and that needs to be taken care of. And that needs to be taken care by creating a proper council, established council, in which the family members, outside professional can also become a part of it, which gives and grooms that person into the right way to take a right kind of decision for few years of his life. And post that, this council has become a professional body which always helps them to grow into the right way.
Correct. I think the making a council is a good idea, not because of the fact that I do not have trust on the successor, but because of the fact I think the one who builds up the business is emotionally connected to the business. So he's emotionally connected to the business. He has given his sweat to the business, and on the family side, his blood is there. Correct. So, and one may feel, कि यार मैंने I have given my business to my son or to my family members, but they are not doing well, or decision which they are taking are not appropriate. Or there could be, let's say, some worry, some fear. I think at that time, a council, wherein people can come together and speak openly, and there is a third guy, let's say, who acts as a mediator, or as a not mediator, as a supporter. I think that would be a good point, so that even after the succession has been done, the one who actually started the business is in no pain.
Right.
Any tax angle, Ravi, before we wind up our session, any tax angle would you like to suggest, or any other important point in your mind?
So taxation angle gives me one more thing which need to be considered. For example, we know that a person dies with will, without will. What are the consequences? The basic understanding we already have. I think after that, the things that trust comes into a picture. It's a very nice way of planning, and the professionals should always take this as a tool to plan the business estate needs to be transferred into the right way by creating a trust of that business house, and creation of that trust, pulling up the assets into that trust, and making a people beneficiary to that trust is always a very good way to take it forward. The trust is something which is also aligned with the family, which is also aligned with some other external professionals and the person who is handling up the business. And the trust way always gives a better way of taxation as well, and holding up the assets into the right way as well. Along with this trust, taxation seems to be very normal that we do for the trusts and for the individual and for the transfers and everything will taken place in the right way. Surprisingly, there are few more things which comes into my understanding when I have experience with my father also, with while doing the documentation and with the creating this book and reading and understanding that. So many a time we have created that in my bank account I have my nominee, and once I passed away I don't have to worry. At least my bank account's money needs to be go to the nominee. The answer is no. But the myth this to a lot many business houses and the professional is that this need to be transferred to the nominee. This needs to be transferred to the legal heirs. If I wanted to make a nominee to my any other person who's not of my family member, or say not my wife but my mother, and all of these kind of stuff, then this can be transferred only by the consent of theirs. It is not like that if nominee has been there, that means the amount has been transferred to that person directly, or that asset has been transferred to that person directly. If you don't have any will into a place. So these kind of things we usually feel that we keep on seeing with our clients and advise them. I always feel that we must advise them to make them understand that what is the meaning of nominee. And at lot many places, it is right to have a joint accounts and joint ownership where you can transfer the property to the person with whom you look forward for the future for your estate planning. So these are the few things which I wanted to mention.
Basically, we have moved on from a business succession planning to estate succession planning. I think it is a separate topic altogether, but yes, the key insights you have given are very important. So to wind up the session to my audience, I would like to say that in addition to family, we all build business, we all build businesses, we all build assets, and those needs to be passed on very carefully, very strategically, and in a very planned manner. So there comes your business succession planning when you have a business or you have a professional practice, and it's not that after you who will handle. I think it's that after a certain point of time, you feel that it should be handled by someone else. That someone else could be someone from your family, or that someone else could be someone from the professional fraternity, or someone outside who has got the caliber to take your business to newer heights. And that needs to be planned, as highlighted by Ravi. There are five key stages, I think, which has been well mentioned in its book, and we have discussed them in brief in this discussion. After business succession planning, or along with the business succession planning, the another important thing which we all need to take care is the estate or the asset succession planning. The assets that have built up, that might be in my bank, as my are like my bank account, or those are my properties, or my equity shares. So, and COVID, as rightly pointed by Ravi, the COVID has highlighted the uncertainty in the life. Correct. So I think we all need that estate succession planning also. And when India does not have a very clear law on the estate succession planning and also on the business succession planning, it although more becomes very important for businesses and individuals to talk to professional and document the succession planning very well. Thanks, Ravi, for being on my platform and sharing your experience and wisdom with our listeners. Thanks a ton once again to you, Ravi. And thanks to all of you for joining and listening to this episode. Do share this episode with your friends because sharing is caring. Thank you. Thanks a lot.